I'd like to call this meeting of the City of Elkhorn Architectural Review Board and City Planning Commission to order. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Wetke,
Here.
Hunter,
Here.
Stockel,
Here.
Boardman, Geeslin, Meinel,
Here.
Schroeder.
Here. Next, we've got the minutes of the June 24th, 2025 meeting. Everyone had a chance to look at them. Any changes? Motion to approve. Second. Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Our first item is Jeff Muncool and Robert Brummel, Gilbert Street extraterritorial plating jurisdiction. We need a certified survey map, a discussion and recommendation. Afton.
Yes, so the applicant is requesting approval of a extraterritorial plat review for the certified survey map for parcel GSC 1200002A. The proposed CSM would create 3 new lots and a remnant lot. Staff does recommend approval for the CSM.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
I just wanted to, I guess, if it's
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Just Naomi did have some conditions too, that she noted in her memo. It looks like it's mostly just grammatical stuff, but that you might want to consider for your motion, possibly.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve with the conditions that our city engineer has in there.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is Abigail Wilson and Scott Wilson, the Glass Garage Project, 100 Clark Street, for a conditional use permit and a public hearing. So I need to read my statement for the public hearing, and then if anyone would like to be heard on this issue, can come up to the podium, give your name and address, and you get 3 minutes to speak. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the Plan Commission of the City of Elkhorn on July 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be heard in the council chambers, City Administration Offices, 311 Seymour Court, Elkhorn, Wisconsin, for the purpose of hearing all interested parties, their attorneys or agents with respect to the application submitted by Abigail Wilson, the Glass Garage LLC, for a conditional use permit to allow for an event venue with a commercial kitchen located at 100 Clark Street. The property is more precisely identified by the following tax parcel ID YP00002. Is there anyone that would like to be heard on this issue? Asking again, anyone like to be heard? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Afton, have you got this one too?
So the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow for an event venue and restaurant with outdoor seating located at 100 Clark Street. Business operations are Friday 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for seasonal cookouts, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. for private parties, Saturday and Sunday 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. for private parties, with the potential for holiday and seasonal pop-up events. The applicant states there will be 2 to 3 part-time employees. They have approximately 20 parking spaces. Under the current zoning of this parcel, a conditional use permit is required for the B3 zoning district. The building was previously used as a restaurant space, but has since closed for a period of time and is now reopening with an expanded use, including an event venue. There have been no significant changes to the building layouts, or outdoor seating area.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Were there any conditions
We do
put on
have,
there? Just the boilerplate ones? I don't know if you want to read them all, or.
and the applicant is here as well, if she would like to speak.
Yeah, did you have anything you'd like to address with us? Or you're aware of the conditions and agree to them? Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve with the conditions.
Second. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. You're all set. Next, we have Henry Van Dyken, Southern Lakes Recycling, 220 South Broad Street for a conditional use permit, public hearing and recommendation. So I'm going to read my notice again. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the Plan Commission of the City of Elkhorn on July 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be heard in the council chambers, city administration offices, 311 Seymour Court, Elkhorn, Wisconsin, for the purpose of hearing all interested parties, their attorneys, or agents with respect to the application submitted by Henry Van Dyken, Southern Lakes Recycling Incorporated, for the conditional use permit to allow for a continued metal and cardboard recycling center located at 220 South Broad Street. The property is more precisely identified by the following tax keys. There's 3 of them. We probably don't need to do those. So for this public hearing, I think we're going to have some people speak. Everyone that speaks can come up to the podium, give your name and address, and you get 3 minutes. This is not a back and forth, so there's probably differences of opinion here. It's not a debate back and forth. Everyone gets 3 minutes to speak. Everyone will be courteous and listen to the speaker. We'd like to have the applicant come first, but before I do that, I've got 2 letters that were submitted here. I'll just read them quickly for you. The first one is from Witty Supply. To whom it may concern, Southern Lakes Recycling has been a great neighbor. They have helped us out numerous times in the past. I have no issues with them expanding their business in hours or scope of operation. Elkhorn needs more successful growing businesses like Southern Lakes Recycling. And it's from Dennis Witty, owner of Witty Supply. The next letter is from Walworth County to the City of Elkhorn from Amy Lamanis, the Operations Support Assistant for the Highway Clean Sweep. She's a Highway and Clean Sweep Coordinator. And her letter is, I contacted Southern Lakes Recycling to run our 2023 Walworth County Clean Sweep events because we utilize them for scrap metal and other items. I knew Tyler had never run an event, but was pleasantly surprised when he said yes without hesitation. Southern Lakes Recycle was thrown into the fire with their first event. We offered free TV drop-off for the first time and had 750 total cars go through within 4 hours. Despite this being their first event and a large number of cars, they were done with the last vehicle by 12:20. Tyler was here multiple days after the event, getting everything palletized, shrink-wrapped, and then driving the TVs to Janesville for disposal. He also had to clean up appliances and all other electronics and scrap items as well. We were very impressed with how hard he worked to clean up all the items in our building so we could use it again. The building was cleaner after he left than before our event. Southern Lakes Recycle has been instrumental in running our electronic events twice a year since June of 2023. Walworth County also utilized them for all scrap metal road signs, cardboard, and batteries. Southern Lakes Recycle has been and continues to be a valuable resource for our scrap needs. Those 2 letters were submitted. Now we'll go to the public hearing. We'd like to have the applicant go first. Henry?
Well, I'm Henry Van Dyken. Southern Lake started in 1980, 45 years ago, by my dad, Henry Sr. Like to keep it going for my son Tyler, who just got grave reviews by the county. But we did mostly paper at first, but then paper went by the wayside. And then so we started doing a little bit of metal and stuff. I guess we bought cans for many years before that, but we're just looking. I've actually sought out Bruce, the mayor, to get the right conditional use here when he was on the mayor. And now Tim's been working with me to finally get this to a good, so we're good with the city. We spent a lot of money. They asked me to put a fence up, so we actually put like a retaining wall up for our metal and put a gate across so no one can get it out. We've been spending a lot of money on that, making the building look better and better all the time. Yeah, what else? And thanks for Elkhorn for putting up with us for 45 years.
Okay, thank you, Henry.
Yep.
Who would like to go next? Tim?
My name is Tim Hatch, and I'm the house right next door to Southern Lakes, the only house on the 200 block of South Broad. So I'm directly right next to them.
What's your address, Tim?
210 South Broad.
Thank you.
I have had no problems. I've owned my home for 40 years. So I've been there probably the longest resident. I've had no problems with Southern Lakes Recycling. In fact, Henry has helped me out many a times when I've needed. I think they're doing great with the community. I don't have a problem with them taking in, the metal and everything else. I know there's a lot of neighbors that complain sometimes about the noise and stuff like that, but I haven't had any problems. I think they're doing great. They take in refrigerators, they take in microwaves, lots of different things that, you usually have to pay to get rid of. And they don't charge anybody. In fact, they'll pay for the weight. So, what else can I say? Like I said, I've been there 40 years. They started out 5 years before I bought the house. But anytime if I've asked him to do something, he's done it. So, he's been great. He's let me borrow his equipment. It was mentioned that they did the clean sweep, things like that. I think we need businesses like that. And I wouldn't deprive anyone of trying to make a living, in our town. So I don't know what else I can say. There's a lot of things I've thought of, but I just have no quabbles with them. They're doing great. Like I said, I'm right next door to them, so I'm the one, if anybody had anything to complain about, would be me, and I don't have any complaints. So I think they're doing a great job, and I hope you'll consider them to stay in the community.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Matt Hansen. I'm right directly behind Henry there at 315 South Church. And I haven't been there for 40 years, but I've been there for about 5 years since I bought the building. And he's been a heck of a neighbor, let me tell you. Just a super nice guy. But one example is, and I've never had any problem with noise of any kind. Never heard anything over there that bothered me in any way. An example is I brought a vehicle over there to get rid of it, and as it ran, but as I was bringing it over there, Henry said, he's listening to it, and he goes, I'm going to take that vehicle, and this is after they paid me for it. He said, I'm going to take that vehicle and I'm going to have somebody look at it because I don't think it's dead. And he actually had Weddage Automotive look at it, and they said it's it's not dead. I thought the engine was blown, and turns out probably a month later or so, Weddage called me and said, no, I think we could fix this for like $600. So it was a decent pickup truck that I thought was dead, and and somebody told me it was dead. So I ended up with my truck back, and that was a heck of a nice thing to do. He could have just taken that thing and threw it in the back, and it would have been gone. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't even know some of this stuff that you're talking about, but obviously he's a great asset to the neighborhood and to the city, and I would certainly like to see you approve him to go forward. So thank you.
Thank you. You and then.
My name's Richard Nowak. I live at 231 West Rockwell Street. And I don't know about some of the people that live right next door. I sit in my backyard during the day and I can hardly hear myself think because there's so much noise and sudden noise where they might like drop something metal that it'll shake the house. If we have people over during the day, we can't even have a conversation sitting outside because you can't hear each other. It's very loud. Now, people that live right next door, they say they can't hear it, they have to be deaf because, like I said, we can't even have a conversation with some of our friends and neighbors. So, I'm sorry, but he might be a good businessman, and I know it's needed, that type of business is needed, but in that area, I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Chris Gable. I live at 227 West Rockwell in Elkhorn. We moved back here in 1997. I grew up in Elkhorn, went active duty, came back in 97. Since that time, we've lived in that same house on Rockwell Street. When we first moved there, you could occasionally hear the sound of large bins of dumping aluminum cans or small metal items. It was negligible, the amount of noise coming out of there. But the last 4 to 5 years, it has become intolerable to sit in your backyard and listen to it 6 days a week. There are no restrictions. When I first started contacting my alderman and the mayor and the city administrator on this issue, there were 3 issues I had with it. Because when you went by there and looked, there was no fencing around it. There was no method of security or enclosing it to prevent an attractive nuisance problem with children. You couldn't tell who was dumping what there in the middle of the night. It was just an open dump site for metal. What was the considerations with the EPA? Environmental issues. So when I talked with my alderman at the time and the mayor at the time and a couple other aldermen about the issue, those were my 3 issues: the noise, the safety, and the environmental. So I've seen what they've done now is they put the fence up, which is great, which restricts it, but the refrigerators are still outside. I don't know what they did with testing the soil for the chemicals that may have got in there from all that goes on. And I don't know how many of you have been by there, because there's times there's school buses, there's automobiles, there's the mixers from cement trucks back there, the mounds of steel and metal back there. I agree, it's a business that's needed. We're at the point now that the company has taken the effort to clean up some of the issues that I've been complaining about. And I thank them for that. The issue now is the noise. And I ask any of you, I've even invited our alderman at the time to come sit in my backyard at any given time between 8 in the morning and 5 at night, 6 days a week, and listen to the noise. It's unbelievable. The previous speaker said the loud, sudden bangs are frequent. Now, granted, the street behind us westward is under construction and there's a lot more banging going on there right now, so you can't hear the recycling place. There's no way you guys are gonna tell him he can't operate. I'm smart enough to realize that with all the improvements and the money he's sunk into it. Gotta do something about the noise. It's a residential area, you gotta do something about the noise. Thank you. And I do have 16 other neighbors who have signed a petition to do something about the noise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, did you submit your petition? Did you submit the petition with the 17 signatures?
No, I have not, I have them here.
You need to get that to the,
Get it to Sherry,
yeah.
to the clerk, and she'll. Yeah.
One of the neighbors is here, can he sign it, if you want to do his work?
Sure. If you want to bring that, are you staying for the rest of the meeting? At the end of the meeting, you can bring it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep, you bet. Would anyone else like to be heard? Yes, sir.
Good evening, my name's Mark Poppenfuss. I live at 105 Elm in Elkhorn, but I have a business located at 261 South Church, which is right directly behind Henry. I've been in that building since, I believe, 2011. I don't have any issues with him as a neighbor. I think he's a good neighbor. I like having him as a neighbor there. I also have interest in 2 additional properties, one at 265 South Church, which again is right behind his facility, and also another facility at 213 South Broad, which is right across from the offices. Again, we're in a commercial area in the city. It's been that way. He's always been a great neighbor. I like Henry. He's easy to work with. We have to work hand in hand on the Broad Street side occasionally in the winter with snow. He's always willing to lend a helping hand. It's a good relationship that we have with him. So I'd hate to see him not be there. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Courtney Schroda. I live at 124 South Broad Street. I live in the same neighborhood as Southern Lakes Recycling. My home is approximately 377 feet from their facility, according to Google. I've lived near this business for over 13 years, and I want to speak as someone that experiences this situation firsthand. Southern Lakes Recycling, as he mentioned, was established in 1980, long before I moved to this area. And when I chose to live here, I chose to live in an industrial part of town. And I accepted the surroundings that came with that choice. It's not realistic to expect an industrial area to remain silent or unchanged in 45 years. Businesses grow and adapt, and that's how local economies survive. I do want to make it clear, I have no personal connection to Southern Lakes Recycling. I never met the owner. I don't know the people that work there. I'm simply a neighbor who believes it's important to support a long-standing business that was here first and continues to operate responsibly. From my home, which is closer than many others, the noise is not a problem. It's part of living next to industry. It's background noise. It's not a distraction. I know the concern is being framed as a permitting issue, but I think it is about noise, and that kind of was mentioned. If the business were to be pushed out, I don't think that would be a win for the neighborhood. Jobs would be lost, the building would likely sit vacant, and if the concern is that it's an eyesore, I think it would be if it was just a vacant building, and it would then contribute nothing. And I believe we can value both our residents and businesses, and one doesn't have to come at the expense of the other. And lastly, I do just want to acknowledge that my dad is the mayor, but he has nothing to do with me being here tonight. I am speaking as a private citizen and a neighbor and someone who cares very deeply about fairness and balance in our city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hey, I'm Vince Weddage from Weddage Automotive, 224 South Wisconsin Street. My family's been at that location since 1964, so well before he's been there. Hearing stories from my grandpa back when they started all the way up until now, they've just been awesome neighbors. Very, very generous. Anytime anybody needs a hand or help, they're always there. They're always wanting to help. It's been obvious from everybody else, talking, but that part of Elkhorn is probably one of the oldest industrial parks of the town. So running a business sometimes gets noisy. I mean, our doors are open all the time. When we're working, we hardly ever hear any noise. When we do, it's real minimal. not anything that I would be worried about. They're great neighbors, and hope you guys approve. So, thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard? Yes.
Joshua Hatch, 210 South Broad Street. Been a resident there for almost 40 years of my life as well, with my father, minus 10 that I moved away. I currently work at the recycling center also. Am I, if that's okay, allowed to speak here? Want to point out some facts. We help 30 to 50 people a day on average, so roughly that's 10+ thousand people a year that they would then have to go somewhere else. This elderly lady who's about 70 years old, she comes to us 4 or 5 times a week, and she's retired, but she helps clean up our town. She brings us her metal. She makes roughly almost $400 a month off us, and we help a lot of other people that way too with our regulars. So I would hate to have them go to a different county to go get their money, and we're just always very helpful and try to be there for the community and try to be fair. And I see the concern. I live next door, but I don't think sound is an issue. And when I'm inside, I don't hear anything. The business hours are from 8 until 4:30, just like all other businesses. Then it's shut down, no noise. Sometimes the workers are there 4:30 to 5, but the machines aren't operating usually then, so no crushing, grinding, stuff like that. The refrigerators, they're out there, and that's not like they're just left there. Every week a guy depletes the Freon legally. They then have to sell the Freon, or pay to get it taken away. So they have a loss on the refrigerators, which we help all the community. But we take them at no charge to try to better the world in the landfills. It's the primary concern is less in the landfill, more money in your pocket too. So don't really think there's much else I want to say on the matter, but thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard?
Did I use my time off?
Yeah, I think you did. There's no redos.
I was just gonna add.
No. Asking again, would anyone else like to be heard? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing.
I'd make a motion to table a conditional use permit. Reasons being that the zoning department needs some more information, specifically on the outdoor storage, where it's gonna be. And they have a couple of different questions that have to be answered before we can move it forward. It'll come back on the agenda at a future meeting after they satisfy the needs of zoning.
So that's your motion. Do we have a second? Second. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, the motion is tabled, or the motion passes to table the item. Lastly, we have Mark Meyer from E&M Corp. 1 Incorporated. Christina Green is the agent for construction services facility at West O'Connor Drive, a project concept review and discussion. You can, if you'd like to, you're welcome to sit at the desk or stand at the podium, whatever you'd like. Okay.
I'm used to the podium.
Yeah.
Hello, Christina Green from Sweden Mayor, 114 North Church Street. I'm here on behalf of the applicant owner, Mark Meyer, who's the president of E&M S Corp. 1, Inc. Okay. The owner has a contract purchaser that is 4 Aces Development Group is the contract purchaser for this parcel. Greg Prast is here on behalf of 4 Aces Development Group, who can answer questions after I give us a brief presentation. The property is YE&M 00003, and it's in the E&M subdivision on O'Connor Drive. It is currently zoned B5 Highway Business District. We are not requesting any form of a rezone. Under the Code of Ordinances, construction services is allowed as a conditional use in the B5 zoning district, and that is what the contract purchaser is intending to do with the property. We're here today to present a site plan so we can get your input, your concerns, address everything, so that when we come back with the official conditional use permit application, we can have addressed everything at that time. The contract purchaser will put up modular construction services center, and they will, it'll be 2 model homes. Those are some samples of the model homes, thank you for that, that they can put on the site, and then it will be their sales center. It will be where people come in, they choose the model, they choose the interior design finishes, they choose, you know, everything that they put in the home, and then the home gets constructed somewhere else. The home, they will have 2 full-time employees during regular business hours to meet with potential buyers who will come in to see the homes and choose their homes and their finishes. And then they also will have by appointment times as well. The property is on the southern end of the Elkhorn Business Park, and yes, thank you. So it's behind the Holiday Inn Express. It's across from the soccer fields, further south. Well, I don't know what direction that map is showing. Yeah, south, I think. Yeah, there are some, I just drove by there on my way here. There are some residential homes down there. And then east will get you to Highway 67. So that's the properties at the back end there. The proposed development for these modular homes sales construction site center would be a low impact, and so it would have minimal impervious surface. This property, if you have the map that shows the floodplain, is unique in that, and it's not really showing where it breaks, but quite a bit of this property is in the floodplain, so it is not a desirable property for a lot of different uses, but it would be, this use would be a good use for it because they could put up the 2 small homes. They'll need a small parking lot because they'll only have a couple employees and only a couple customers at a time. They can do a gravel parking lot, like I believe is at the corner, to help with the impervious surface so there won't be runoff from the site. So this particular lot has challenges, and this use would be really an ideal use for this site. They do desire signage. They'll have a monument sign, and then, excuse me, and then a sign closer to the highway. And again, that's why this site is desirable for this use, is they can have a sign closer to the highway. And people come from all over for these. These are modular homes, but it could be stick-built as well. He's a builder. I'll let him speak to any questions on that. And then they will comply with all the B5 zoning requirements for setback, height, impervious surface, etc. They will be requesting, though, 2 architectural variations because the homes that they're using for these sales centers, etc., have to be the homes that they are constructing, or it wouldn't make sense to be a model home. And the homes they're constructing do not have brick. So one of the variations we would be requesting from the architectural review requirements is to allow them to not have brick in the homes. And I know that does take a vote, I think, of 5 Plan Commission members, so really would love to get input tonight on your thoughts on that as well. The other variation we may be requesting is to not have to do the pitch roofs, and it actually would fit in better in the industrial park if they were doing some more of the flatter roof designs, because the other businesses in the industrial park are flat roof. And as I drove over here tonight too, I drove through there, and behind the Loves, the building behind the Loves does not have brick at all. I don't know if it's like a truck service center or something, but that building back there is sort of a metal building. So I think that this would be compatible. I know that in the zoning report, I wanted to comment on some of her comments. I saw that today in the packet. One of the things is she says it's not consistent with the 2040 future land use plan. I'm not sure what your land use plan is, but this is already zoned, so we're not asking to change. So with the compatibility with the land use plan is when you want to rezone. We're not asking to rezone. We're asking to do one of the uses allowed as a conditional use in this district. She says the architectural design is not consistent with the intent of the zoning district. Again, the only deviations we're requesting from your architectural design is to not have brick, And like I said, there's another building behind the Loves that does not have brick. And then also about the roofs, and the other buildings in the park, none of them have the pitch roofs. So I think it would actually fit, not to, and I wish Allison were here, but not to challenge what Allison is saying. Also, the model homes, if they, we could do the lower flat lines, but the project is, again, like I said, in the back of the development, and across the street is the soccer fields, and then behind that are actually some residential homes. So it would be kind of a good fit to have this at the back of the development and not too far from other residential homes. They're behind that cornfield. Then she said this is a mix between residential and commercial development. I guess if you're saying because it looks like a home it is, maybe that's what she's thinking, but it's not intended to be a residential home. This is going to be sales office. They're going to come in, they're going to pick their finishes, they're going to meet with the sales staff, et cetera. It's not a residential home. No one is living in this home. She said that she provided a definition of construction services and said that this is not construction services. That confused me because it's a builder doing construction. So I'm not really sure where she's going with that. Some of the uses, the definition says that it's for construction with uses including but not limited to, and then it lists like a plumber, engineer, interior designer, etc. Just because the actual builder is not listed, I'm not sure how that makes it not construction service, because it does have not limited to. And they will have salespeople who will be dealing with the interior design of the homes. So to me, I don't know what a builder would be if not construction services. And then we did get the engineer's report. There is a question to clarify on the right-of-way. She said it ends east of the hotel, so that doesn't go as far as the hotel. So there has to be clarification as to whether or not it was dedicated properly. We could look into that. Obviously, if it wasn't dedicated properly, it needs to be, we can get that done, because otherwise the hotel doesn't actually have access either, based on what her report said. She requested a wetland delineation. That goes back to where I said there's a lot of floodplain on the property. We would look into doing that if necessary. And then she said it possibly has to meet the Walworth County shoreline standards. The part that is shoreland is the floodplain, so nothing would actually be built in the shoreland, so there's no problem with that. So the goal is really to deliver a project that aligns with the zoning, support the local housing needs, and bring long-term value to the Elkhorn. And it'll increase the tax base, in which I understand this is part of a TID that is struggling, so it would be beneficial if something could be built there, and that would help increase the tax base. I don't think you're going to get a Love's back there. It wouldn't fit on the property, and you already have one, so I know that would bring more taxes, but at least this would bring some taxes to the community to get something built. There are several other vacant parcels there that have less floodplain. They have no floodplain, actually, and would be desirable to have those built that could bring revenue to the community. None of those, nobody's knocking down the doors to try to buy them or build. So I think this is the best use of this parcel, but I really want to get your input so we know how to proceed. So, and then we can answer questions. So that's really what we're here for.
Are you ready for some questions?
Go right ahead.
I didn't understand completely. Are you talking about a permanent sales office and then a couple modular homes as not samples is the wrong word, but models?
So the sales office would be within the modular homes.
Okay, so there's not a
There's
sales
not like a
office
separate building.
okay.
But these are permanent structures. So once they go up, they're permanent sales offices that are built in the homes.
Those models will not be changing out.
No.
Once they're there, they're there.
Right? I asked that same question, yes. Yeah, I had asked that question.
Is there going to be a person there all the time, or is that by appointment only?
Both. So there'll be staff during the day, depending on the day of the week, and by appointment also.
Do you want to come up here just in case they have more questions? Because I think you have to give your name. Do you need him to give his name?
Sure, please.
Greg Prost, address 32800 Granite Trail, McWanago.
Thank you. Okay. Does anyone else have
Why
questions?
don't you want angled roofs and you only want flat?
Well, you can see some at Gables already. There's a lot of selection. The ones we want to go for are maybe for first-time home buyers, or maybe seconds, to be able to get folks into homes. But there'll be pictures of these and models in the houses as models when they come in there. It'll be set up as an office, not as a house necessarily, but we'll have different selections and different finishes that they can pick. But we want to be able to show houses that are affordable, that they're nice, they're quality, that somebody can afford. So we also offer not just that, but we want to showcase those. But we also offer stick-built construction, custom builds, remodeling. So it's not just those homes. We offer all kinds of construction services from start to finish. We want to showcase these. We think this is a great area. And we think it'd be a good place for it.
Price-wise, what are you looking at price?
For the
Range,
house,
yeah.
a range,
Yeah.
outside of site improvements and lot, anywhere from 90 to 160. On the small side for like a 1,200 square foot house.
So it'd be under 100,000?
It can be,
Can be,
yeah.
okay.
That's all relative, depends on what they pick,
Right.
yeah.
Are these, when you talk modular homes, are these the ones you see going down the freeway and then you get them to the site with the foundation and put them on the foundation rather than stick built?
Yes, that's one way. We also do panelized, where they will come with the walls built on a flatbed. And they
Okay.
get delivered, and they get set that way they're built in a factory, it's controlled, they're not sitting out in the weather. So we got a lot of different options.
So when you sit up there, you're looking at servicing not just Elkhorn, but servicing possibly the whole county?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's our goal.
Right, okay.
Which would actually benefit, because it's bringing people into, to Elkhorn to come, look at these. So I know that one of the desires is to eventually have a restaurant out in that area. And if there are more people coming in, it might make it more palatable to a restaurant to come at some point. I do know that the seller attempted a restaurant years ago after COVID and it failed. And he lost quite a bit of money on it and had to give it to the investors and nothing ever happened. So if, if we've had more people coming in, maybe at some point, that somebody would want to put a restaurant out there. I can't say, I don't know, but I do know that that's a possibility for bringing people in. Sort of if you build it, they will come, right?
I guess I'm assuming you're looking for feedback here.
Yes,
My-
I'd like to know what the concerns are, because we want to address those.
My concern would be, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, there's not people clamoring to develop out there right now, and that's been a disappointment since COVID. And there's a shell of a restaurant up there, in the lot next door. But when we did that TIF district and talked about the development, your type business was never mentioned. In my opinion, for whatever it's worth, I think we'd be looking for something with a little more density of employment and more people running around than a two-person sales office, which is a wonderful business. I'm not saying that for that spot in that development, I think we'd be looking for something a little different. But I don't know what the other members of the planning commission.
I agree.
Am I able to ask a question?
Absolutely.
So, not to shoot ourselves in the foot, but that lot wouldn't really be a choice first lot for us necessarily, because of where it's located, the amount of floodplain and wetlands that are on it. Unless I'm mistaken, the delineation I got from the county is that there's not much room as a building envelope, let alone a parking lot. So I know for a restaurant, you have to have so many parking spots per table, if you want all those employees, but that lot is not beneficial to that. So I kind of saw it as a win-win. For us to be there, you have some residential there, you have something that's a little bit different and interesting. You have the lift station right there, I don't know if that's ideal for somebody to be right next to that. It's at the end of the street. And I just think it would be something unique and something that would fit there. That's probably the most difficult lot of the ones remaining to fit something on and to sell to somebody. So I see this as a win all the way around. The seller, the buyer, the city, and the residents, that location there is, you can't put much on it. Unless I'm getting the wrong information with where the floodplain and the wetlands are. I actually thought it might be very difficult to do what we want to do. So that's why we proposed a gravel parking spot, just to be able to not have impervious and not disrupt the water flow to the retention pond and disrupt any kind of water flow. I just see it as a win all the way around. And I understand that the type of buildings going up aren't conventional commercial, where you have a storefront, you got some glass, you got concrete block, you got a flat roof, and you know it's commercial. But you have a hotel there, has a lot of windows, and it's not necessarily commercial, it's a hotel. And you've got across the street by the soccer field, along driveway, I can see a colonial house sitting there. So I don't see a better place for this situation, as out of the ordinary as it is.
Okay. My other concern would be, and our administrator's not here tonight, the whole TIF district and tax increment is way above my pay grade, and so I'd like to hear more about that, how this project affects the tax ramifications in that TID district too. So I don't think we have anyone here that can explain that to us. But we may have more questions for you in a minute, but Naomi, I understand you've got some comments.
Sure, thank you. I have a review of the concept plan in your packet dated July 11th, 2025. And I do hit on some of the environmental restraints or considerations for this lot. There is mapped floodplain on the lot. We don't actually know the limits of the floodplain until we have a site survey, because it's based on an elevation. So while the map that was in your packet provides us, an approximate location, the specific site survey would tell us exactly where the floodplain is. The floodplain is a zone AE, which means it has an elevation determined with it. And there are allowed uses in the floodplain, so you can put residential buildings, commercial buildings in the floodplain as long as they're flood-proofed, and they do not impede the flow of water. So that's just a general state floodplain ordinance provision that the city has adopted. I think also what is kind of unknown about this lot is the limits of the wetland. We also have mapping for wetland limits. We wouldn't know the exact limits of the wetland or the impacts to the wetlands until the site has a wetland delineation. Those are good for 5 years. So assuming Love's had one done on this parcel, it would probably need to be updated for a new development. Then along with the wetlands, there are setbacks from wetlands based on the quality of the wetland that would pertain to any development on this lot. We did mention the shoreline requirement. The shoreline requirement is similar in that we don't know the actual where the shoreland ends, because it's from a setback from the wetland. It can be a setback from the wetland, or it's a setback from the ordinary high water mark on the stream, which is not shown in the site plan. So, we have mapping, the county provides mapping in general locations, but how those affect the lot is not demonstrated on this concept plan. We did note that in our review, we looked at the old Love plans and the subdivision for the whole business park or industrial park area. And this lot actually drains away from the stormwater pond that's to the northwest, or east, I'm sorry, to the northeast. It doesn't drain there currently. So any impervious that's put on this parcel needs to demonstrate that it meets our stormwater requirements. And one way to demonstrate that could possibly be to pipe it or drain it to the pond and demonstrate the pond has adequate capacity. We don't think that that pond was originally constructed for full development of this site, just because it doesn't drain there. So that would be something we would also be looking at for the development. And then we did have some questions related to the actual limits of the right-of-way on the county mapping, which kind of keeps all the records. The right-of-way line is that yellow-black line, which indicates it ends at the hotel, but the hotel is serviced from an easement on the 66-foot wide strip, with a little bit touching the lot in question. So we would want to make sure that's appropriately dedicated. The driveway as shown on the concept plan would not access approved roadway, so would have to be moved east for any site plan application. That pretty much sums up my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Any response to that, or any questions you have of Naomi while you get her here?
No, I guess, and maybe a question for Naomi, because I had read the report, and one of the things that I think from hearing her talk about it, it sounds like this is a difficult site to develop, and I'm wondering if she kind of agrees with that, is that?
There's definitely some engineering that needs to be done. You can develop in the floodplain, you can put restaurants in the floodplain, you can put homes in the floodplain, you just have to make sure you're meeting the ordinance requirements.
Okay, so, but it adds extra layers and extra, they have to make it floodproof, you said, or something?
Yes, you have to flood, even if you were to do a model home in the floodplain, you'd have to floodproof it, yeah.
Right, so that adds more, okay. I was just wondering about the expense. So it's an expensive lot to develop, I guess I would say. But I hear what she's saying. And then, and one other thing, Naomi, so once you go west from what looks like the easement for the hotel, is that easement area too, or do you know what that is over there?
Matt, do you want to point out this one right here? Are you talking about this piece?
No, that is the easement for the
Correct.
hotel, right? And then
Yep.
it covers part of this property. Do you know what the road, like that sort of gravel drive, if that's an easement or not?
That looks to be part of the parcel.
Okay.
There's no separate outlot on that. I don't know if that parcel has an easement located with it.
Okay.
But it looks like the public road was intended to be at the end of the improvement, which would be right here, if you want to point, which would be right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Typically, we don't have a public road that's unimproved. You know, we would improve it to the limits.
Right, no, I didn't know if it was supposed to continue, it just hasn't been built or not yet, I didn't know. So that's fine, but it does at least touch the parcel, correct?
Yes, you have about 60 feet that would likely be public road frontage.
Thank you.
One thing I'd say is I think we talk about the size of the business and people. I know it's a concern because you look across the highway, you got the RV place, a bunch of RVs are sitting there. The idea with the sales center is we're getting on a daily basis 3 to 5 leads a day, people calling us. So Champion Homes is a monster in the business. Clayton Homes is big. But on our side, on the modular side, and our custom-built homes and our remodeling, what we think is that if you start looking at that site there, there's nobody on this from Madison to Milwaukee pushing towards Chicago borderline. There's nothing. Oh, you guys go look. There's nothing. Everything is going. The monster is up north. So this is a great opportunity because we could be the only one in that region from Milwaukee to Madison to Chicago, which is going to drive everybody into Elkhorn. So as that grows, as we grow this business, the impact in the community could be massive because we're stick building these modular homes is 5% of the market share right now. It's going to be 15% of the market share across the country. We'll have the builder show in North Carolina in the next 5 years. It's a massive growth. So that center right there, even when we start out with 2 people, myself, Greg, Dio, whoever else, eventually we're gonna have 3 or 4 salespeople. We're gonna have finance people. We're gonna have art. We're gonna have design people. It's gonna grow and grow and grow and grow. So what we're talking about right now, the 2 people, as Greg said, that's just starting. It's gonna be, but our vision is growing this thing to be a massive play, all from Madison to Milwaukee, but everybody's gonna come into Elkhorn. All the traffic's coming right here, our center, so that's gonna drive people in the community. So, you know, our idea is to look for land, build subdivisions around the community, and help grow. This is a beautiful spot. I've lived in Madison for 21 years. I know Lake Geneva, Elkhorn. I love the community. That's why we look to go towards Chicago, we look towards Madison. That's why we picked this spot, because I love this community, it's in our heart, and that's why I want to be here. And we will grow this and bring people in and grow our staff and have options for people to buy affordable homes, modular, to buy duplexes, modular, 4 units, modular, stick built. We give them options. So that's the vision. And it will grow, but when we say 2 people, that's just starting. We're gonna be there, but that's gonna go from 2 to 4 to 8 to 10 to 12. So that's the vision, just so you guys understand.
Have you looked at any other parcels in the city?
We looked at, we had a couple on the other side we looked at there, and Greg we looked at one other kind of down and around the back. But the reason we like that spot is I like having RV on the other side. It's good for telling the clients, hey, you're coming to Elkhorn, hit this exit. Love's is there, go down to the car dealership, turn right, you got a sign. So it's mentally, it's easy to get people there. But we have not looked, once we had the accepted offer on this spot, it's our favorite spot. We loved it. We're kind of across the soccer field where families are. They're playing soccer, they see the homes. Nothing on the other side because of floodplain. It's kind of, we're down here by ourselves, kind of a funky little spot, the floodplain, it works for us. So we hadn't because we're waiting to get here, because our heart and passion is here in Elkhorn, and that's why.
Does anyone else have any feedback for them? Any questions?
Are there any other concerns that you guys have? I mean, I hear what you're saying about you'd like more employees, and then you want to find out about the TIF, which I get.
Right.
And I did talk to Adam briefly about that today. That's when he told me it's like a failing TIF. And I said, well, if it's failing, wouldn't you want just some development out there? And I don't want to speak for him, but I think he was kind of like, well, So
Yeah, I think
I think we need to get more information about that. I agree, I have no issue with that. I just, that was one of the things he mentioned today too, and I was like, oh, well, So,
Yeah, I'd like to talk to him about that
Yeah.
and get an explanation how that affects the
Yeah.
TIF district.
That's fine. But,
Yeah.
but are there other, I guess I want to hear what other concerns we can address, if we can address them. Is there anything else you can give us input on?
Well, I'm kind of along the lines that, we had an expectation of what's going in there, but there ain't much use for that lot. And if you got a business that's really looking like they want this place bad, I don't see the downside of it.
Okay.
If I could interject one more thing.
Absolutely.
So when you're building, you need lots of subs and suppliers, and we intend to use local people because you get better pricing, which keeps the price of houses down. So the more houses we build, we expand a little bit, we can look for some land and do some developing, work with the city on what type of housing you would like there. So we're not going into this hoping it kind of works, we're going into this knowing it's gonna work, and we're thinking big. So we're not just planning on staying in that little lot and hoping somebody walks in and asks us some questions. We're online, we're visible, you can check out the websites, we get a lot of traffic, it's gonna drive here, nice hotel next to it, people coming in from out of town, you can stay right there, show them some land, show them some houses. we intend this to keep rolling and rolling if you let us get started.
Well, thanks for coming in. I hope we gave you some feedback anyway, and we'll be talking about this some more.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Should
not-
we do a concept in front of the board as well, do you think, or is it better to wait?
In front of the council?
Yeah, the council.
Why don't we talk to Adam about that?
Okay.
If he wants to do that, I'll
I
talk to
think
him
we
about
should.
the project. I'm real interested in the health of that TIF district
Right.
and get in some answers on that, and then we'll proceed.
Great, okay,
So,
thank you.
okay.
Just have Adam can reach out to me then.
Okay.
Thank
sure
you.
will.
Thank you.
Do we have any general discussion items? No? We are bumping up our first meeting in August there'll be no meeting on August 7th, but there will be one on July 31st at 6 PM. So if everyone can put that on their calendar, and then there'll be the regular meeting on August 21st. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.